So, welcome to our class of strategic management at the master's level. We are going to look at strategic management process. And before that, I want actually to navigate through this software, which is Google Classroom. So what you find is you find on stream the posts that have been done all through. And then on the classwork, this is organized in themes, or I would say in units. So far we have the introduction, and then we have the remote, environmental analysis, then we have internal and external environmental analysis, and we have strategies. So this is basically what we have so far. But today, our focus will be on strategic management process. So we are looking at strategic management processes. Maybe before that, we ask ourselves, what is strategic management? And indeed, strategic management has to deal with a kind of a grand plan of achieving something. For example, if you want to achieve a certain goal, then you may have some certain tactics that will help you achieve that goal. And now let's look at what is a tactic. A tactic has been used mostly in war, and that's the art of moving soldiers and military equipment around during the battle or war in order to use them in the most efficient way. In a novel by Sheldon, he defines a tactic as small wins. Okay, small wins in the process of presenting, in the whole process of winning, let's say, a case. Okay, so you have a case to achieve, and then small wins. That's what he calls tactics. So when you are defending somebody in law, perhaps you have small wins. Those are actually called tactics. And then the whole thing, she calls it a strategy. So it's a long-term plan of action to achieve a particular goal, to get there before others in order to be happy. In actual fact, you want to outperform your competitors, and that is the aim of that strategy. When you say a business strategy, we want actually to outperform your competitors in a field. The skill of planning movement of armies in battles of war. So, for example, when we are talking about a business world, we are talking about universities. Perhaps what strategies do each one of them have in order to win the customers, to win, to be ahead of others? When you are talking about the mobile phone, subscribers, providers, we are saying to what extent do they outperform others in order to win, to be ahead of others? So in our case, Safaricom vis-a-vis Airtel, to what extent do they actually outperform the other? And that is really what we are calling there a strategy. Now, strategic management is really a process that aligns the organization's internal ability with opportunities and threats it faces in the environment. So the decision process that aligns organization's internal ability, that is really strategic management. So all the time you are looking at what are your internal abilities, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and how do you use this in order to take advantage of the opportunities? How do you use this in order to actually address, the threats of the environment? So it is that set of managerial decisions and actions that determines the long-run competitive performance of an organization. So you want to see how you can outperform other organizations. So that long-term plan is actually what we are saying competitive advantage. Others, they say, well, they define strategic management as the process of identifying, choosing, and implementing activities. The process of identifying, choosing, and implementing activities. And in actual fact, this is the process of strategic management. So you identify, you choose, and you implement, okay, the strategies or the activities. Those activities that will enhance the long-term performance of the organization by setting the direction, by creating ongoing capabilities, compatibility between the internal skills and actually the resources of the organization, and also looking at the changing external environment with which it operates. So all the times you are looking at what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and how are you able to use these in order to take advantage of the external environment, the opportunities, and how are you using the internal capabilities in order to address, the threats that can actually are there in the environment. Like today, I think universities have been faced with the COVID, okay, as an external environment. No one planned about it, just came, okay, as a threat. And now, how are the universities using their internal capabilities in order to achieve, their goals, providing that education, to their students? That is actually what we are saying about strategic management. Now, why strategic management? What is the importance of strategic? The relative increase of size of many organizations, there is a complexity of organizations. It actually calls for all organizations to actually look and plan well. The increase in environmental uncertainty is so much, and therefore organizations, they need to look in order to actually see how they can actually perform. It links to the goals of the organizations with the organization environment. If the environment of the organization remained constant, then perhaps strategic management wouldn't be important. But the environment is so stochastic. Changes. As suddenly you may find turbulences, you may find sudden changes, and so on of the environment. So you need, therefore, to actually use strategic management, okay, so that you can plan, and you also have to use strategic thinking, okay. Once you have made your plans, the plans are not cast on a stone. The plans actually can change as you move on to implement, but you have a certain guiding line of that of your organization. Now, strategic management also has the process, as pointed out. So we have the process of strategic analysis. Then we have strategic choice. Then we have strategic implementation or evaluation and control. A number of authors put 3, strategic management processes, but others put up to 4. So, which means you have strategic analysis, you have strategic choice, you have strategic implementation, and some put evaluation and control on its own. Yeah. So you put strategic control and implementation on its own. Okay. Now let's look at these components, the 3 components of strategic management. The 3 components of strategic management, or the processes: strategic analysis, strategy implementation, and strategic choice. Now, what is strategic analysis? So when we talk of strategic analysis, we are looking at the question, what are we doing as an organization? So, for example, if we are looking at Tangaza College, we are saying, what is Tangaza College actually doing? When we are looking at other colleges, we ask, what is it that they are doing? Then we are asking the question, what should we be doing? And I think I want us to understand these 2 questions. What are we doing, and what should we be doing? what are we doing and what should we be doing brings out a gap between the should and the are. Okay, and that therefore calls for bridging that gap, asking our questions: is what we are doing relevant? Is what we are doing what we should be doing? Okay, and that's very important to ask this question. And then we formulate goals, we formulate objectives. And in actual fact, what we do is we do an environmental scanning. We try to look at what is the environment like, okay, in relationship to what we are doing. So we are using tools of analysis, and we are using a PEST tool, a political, economic, social, cultural, technological tool. We are looking at the SWOT analysis. We are looking at the 5-force model, the Michael Porter model. We are looking at the BCG. We are looking at the product life cycle. We are looking at the value chain. These are the tools that will help us to do an analysis, a scanning of the environment. Once we have done that, then we go to strategic choice. And in strategic choice, we are looking at formulating strategies. What is it that we should do? And we generate options. We evaluate them. We choose the strategy that is appropriate. And we ask ourselves, what route have we taken? We also move on actually using tools of analysis. What you will find is these tools of scanning environment, actually they are aligned to actually some strategies. And there we look, for example, at competitive or business strategies, which are actually as a product of 5-force model. When we look at the SWOT metric strategies relating to SWOT, we look at the generic strategies, very general strategies of the organizations, growth strategies, retrenchment strategies, stability strategies, and so on, which relate to PEST analysis. And then finally, we look at strategy implementation. So we are asking ourselves, what is it that we should do then? How are we going to address the situation? So what strategies do we choose? So, and then that is aligned to policies, to decisions, to actions. How we ask ourselves, how do we guide our collective decision to get there? And what choices have we made? How shall we do it? So this is really a brief of strategic management process. And the whole of our course will go through this process of strategic management processes. So we'll actually be looking at, in one of the lessons, we'll be looking at how to carry out a PEST analysis, how to carry out a SWOT analysis, how to carry out a 5-force model or industry analysis, how to carry out a Boston Consulting Group analysis, how to carry out the product life cycle, how to carry out the value chain. So we'll be looking at those elements and what strategies can we come out with that. So this is really a blueprint of our course, the strategic management for social transformation. And all this, we are doing it in order to advance, to transform the society. Thank you very much for this lesson.